I don't know if I caught that on camera. Jake said the most impressive part about this bike is what? We've got all sorts of bikes here, but there's one e-bike that we have yet to try, and that is a dirt jumper.
We have the RCR LZR Pro. This thing's made to be jumped off massive jumps, kind of a mixture between a BMX bike and a mountain bike.
For guys that have gotten older, they want something that's a little more comfortable, a little bit more fun, and requires a little bit less work, so you can still enjoy without overexerting yourself. So why don't we go ahead and get unboxing. So we got this bike through Rev Rides. It came shipped to us through FedEx, and it's actually in pretty decent shape, and the bike itself looks nicely packaged. Small parts.
That is a teeny tiny charger. It's a 36 volt, 2 amp output, 36 volt, 14 amp hour battery, so it should take you about 7 hours to charge from empty to full. We just have pedals.
And a bag of tools.
A bag of tools, yep.
The park tool that we have to help us put these e-bikes together makes life a lot easier. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it says Onyx Motorbikes. It's in the spot gloss. So you have a matte finish, and then the letters are written in gloss, and it's a nice touch.
So one cool thing about this quick release is this is hand tight, and it kind of sticks out there and juts out, but you can pull it up and adjust it so it's out of the way.
We have the LZR all set up. Andrew, show us around.
Let's start with the handlebars first because they're really wide, very clean handlebars, no display. Air suspension with 100 millimeters of travel. Really solid, feels great. We've got 26 by 2.35 inch tires that are Kenda tires. 160 millimeter brake disc with Tektro hydraulic brake.
This is beautiful. I love that wood finish.
The battery is integrated into the frame, which is a 36 volt, 14 amp hour battery. Moving down to the motor, this is a Bafang mid-drive motor. It's a 750 watt motor with a max output of 900 watts.
There's no kickstand. You're gonna be doing jumps, you're gonna be doing tricks, you're gonna be doing stunts, and you don't want that kickstand rattling, getting in the way. Also, no bells, no interface. Everything is nice and clean with fewer external components. That means there are fewer things to break. So let's get our gear on and take it out for a spin to see how it rides. All right, what's up guys? Jimmy Chang here with Andrew, and we are here in one of our favorite parks in Denver, Ruby Hill. And we have the Onyx LZR. This is the first ever dirt jumper we've ever reviewed on the channel. This thing is electric, and there is a compelling argument to ride a dirt jumper. So we've already done the unboxing and assembly. Now we're going to take it out for a ride where we're going to talk about the things that we love about it, things that we hate about it, and who we think should get this bike. We've been riding around for a bit, but we've got a treat for you guys. We are going to meet our buddy Jake, who is a huge jumper, and he's going to show us what skill plus technology can do. So Andrew, what are your thoughts initially on this?
It's smooth and perfect for climbing up hills, because when you're jumping dirt jumps, climbing is one of the toughest parts if you're not super fit like me. This is gonna shave time off so you can be jumping more rather than pushing up the hill.
We've got a beautiful view of the city right over there. Let's go find a spot. Let's talk about the things that we love about this bike. All right, we've got the beautiful city of Denver right there. By the time you're watching this, we will be NBA champions of the world.
After 47 years, the Denver Nuggets can finally call themselves NBA champions.
But first off, why even have an electric dirt jumper?
For people who don't really want to necessarily mountain bike, or they don't want to BMX off of jumps, it's a blend between both of those two. Create the happy medium so you can have a small, lightweight bike to hit jumps with.
With the electric, this gives you the opportunity to not have to get off your bike so that you can ride more and jump more.
Because I actually got to the bike park much earlier than Andrew did to film, I waited and watched the guys do their thing. Pretty amazing what talent and courage can result in, and it made me wish I had a bit of both. But what really interested me was how after each run, almost everyone would get off their bikes and walk back up the hill. That practice is something this Onyx LZR hopes to change.
Drew, let's talk about the things that we love about this bike.
Yeah, just the overall beautiful look of this. It's a gorgeous bike, and it's pretty dusty. We've been having some fun with it. Jimmy's sons have been rallying it. Overall, it's stayed in great condition and just looks sharp. As you can see, you can't see any of the welds on this beast. It's very clean, the buttons. There's no throttle, so it doesn't even look like an e-bike from first appearance. The other great thing about it is these handlebars are nice and wide, which you really need for stability when you're jumping. The suspension works well, it's air suspension. The tires have great tread on them, and the brakes are very powerful.
The welds are some of the best welds that we've ever seen. And when we take this out to the bike park, we've had a lot of people stop and ask us about this bike.
You know, if I take a picture, that's...
Yeah, dude, go for it.
Very sleek, gives you a good boost every time you pedal up, gets you up the hill, man.
It's an aluminum frame, so if it gets damaged, it's easier to fix. And the welds on it just make it look so seamless that people think it's a carbon frame.
And the reason why you want not just a good looking frame, but you want a durable frame, with dirt jumpers, you're getting big air, you're doing big jumps, but potentially you're also going to be doing some big falls.
There's no way I would ever use a dirt jumper if it had a hub drive motor. There's just too much delay. With having a mid-drive motor, it's super sensitive to your pressure. What's surprising for me is, for this being only a 36-volt battery system, it's really powerful.
We have a ton of bikes and scooters and devices in our garage right now, but I will tell you the two bikes that get the most use by my kids, this one and the Onyx RCR. And so this has actually been to the park a bunch of times by my kids, and we're gonna take this to the park here in just a sec. They have minimized the components on this bike, so there's no display, there's no throttle. It's just all controlled by a single button. Ergonomics, geometry is everything with these dirt jumpers. So when Jake takes this dirt jumper, it'll be interesting to see what he thinks of the geometry and the overall feel, because we feel like the geometry is great, but it's heavier than your traditional dirt jumper. Let's keep riding. At our next stop, let's talk about the things that we don't like about this bike. We are right in front of the bike park there. You can see a bunch of folks having fun. We're having fun too, but let's talk about the things that we don't like about this bike.
If you're starting at the bottom of a very steep hill, it's a little bit hard to get it going.
Even though it's an e-bike, if you don't have a throttle to get going, which this does not have a throttle, then you're going to have to start pedaling to get that momentum.
There's some type of weird thing that we're experiencing in like Pedal Assist 5. Sometimes you'll get in a weird situation where it just keeps wanting to go. If you just lightly tap on the brake, it'll stop it from going.
When I encounter that is usually when I'm going up a steep hill, so I crank it all the way up to Pedal Assist 5, and I'm getting that pedal assist going, and I'm feeling comfortable. And occasionally you'll feel this surge, which is great. It helps me up those hills. But we're gonna have to look into that and see if we can't fix that.
The Onyx bikes are all a little bit more expensive, but you are getting a premium product.
Cost is always fluctuating, and at this time, this is how much it costs. It always changes, so check the link down below. You just have to understand, there aren't very many e-bikes out there that we can say are legitimately made and sold and serviced here in the United States of America. The Onyx bikes are actually made here in the US.
And we touched base on this earlier, but this is pretty heavy for a dirt jumper. An average dirt jumper weighs about 26 pounds, maybe a little bit more, but this bike does weigh 47 pounds, so you just have to take that into consideration when you're jumping it.
And speaking of jumping, we're gonna go meet up with our buddy Jake now. All right, so here it is, just like I was talking about earlier. You see the folks walking up the hill? Everyone loves riding down and doing the jumps. No one loves walking up the hills.
Hey, it's another shirt on! No, it's not.
What's up? Oh, there we go. We got some EUC riders.
What's up, Enrique?
Look at these guys.
How's it going?
What's going on? Woo! All right, so we got Jake on the bike. We gave him the tutorial on how to ride it, and now he's just getting used to it.
I'm feeling the motor out now. It feels pretty solid. The one thing I noticed immediately, especially in those wooden rollers,
Yeah.
is when you go to pump it, since there is more weight, you do get more of a pump coming out of it. Whereas on that bike, there's less weight going down when you pump, so you don't get as much speed. If you need speed quick, obviously the motor's there, but you can also pump faster as well.
Okay.
Dirt jumpers are generally reserved for people who are willing to risk it, willing to do the tricks, do everything else, and that kind of offends some of the people who aren't fully into it. Their heart's not in the sport.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
why this is such a twist, because the e-bike mentality that would create a longevity for somebody who's trying to ride for their whole lives, or maybe not get hurt or not get worn out, kind of is not the same mentality that a lot of dirt jumpers carry.
It's a high risk activity, usually for younger folks that have the ability to recover easier. Because once you're older, you've got more at risk, right? You don't want to get hurt, miss out on work, and you also take a lot longer to recover after you get hurt.
When you put a battery on the bike, it helps all those things. You're less tired when you get to the top of the trail. You're less tired when you go home. You're less tired for work the next day. That's kind of what the e-bike mentality is all about.
Do you think an dirt jumper mentality could be such that someone that's older now and they still want to relive the glory days and maybe they don't want to huff and puff too much?
Yeah, this is definitely the market that they're going towards. How many people are in this market? I don't know, but I'm sure the people who are in the market would really like to ride something like this.
I love how he just passes these people as they're trying to come up this hill, and the expression on their faces is like, what the heck? The amazing thing is, in the time that I've seen some of these people just do one run and then have to walk back up or ride pedaling heavily back up, Jake's been able to do like 3 or 4 runs. It's pretty amazing.
That 5th level is no joke when you're going downhill. it hits the gas pretty hard. If you weren't aware of how long it's going to accelerate, then it could be dangerous. I think that's just a matter of getting used to it,
Yeah.
or being less lazy. I was on the 5th level going up the hill, and you really don't need any levels on the way down, but I just didn't change it, so.
Yeah, so definitely some nuances that you're gonna have to get used to with this new technology. I don't know if I caught that on camera. Jake said the most impressive part about this bike is what?
The fork, for sure. With how heavy this bike is, I haven't had any limitations regarding the fork. On some less expensive dirt jumpers or less known brands, you got to be careful, you'll blow it up or you'll bottom it out. I haven't had any issues with this yet. Even though I've used most of the travel, I haven't really felt it.
And then what do you think on this box jump? This bike is double the weight of your bike, right?
Yes.
You could feel that?
I could feel it taking off just because there's more momentum and a little bit more force going into the lip. You have to be ready for that part. But as long as you're not doing anything crazy, you could definitely get over it fine.
Andrew and I were riding around the park before we even started. And then Jake was doing his crazy jumps and pumps. And look at our charge.
Still fully charged.
Pretty impressive. Good looking bike, and it held up to Jake's abuse. Okay, it's getting windy, so we're gonna stop hitting the big air and we are going to focus more on the pump track, see how it performs.
With the extra weight, pushing down gives you more momentum.
Looking solid, and I mean the overall feel of the bike, any issues with it?
No, a lot of things are small tweaks, like where the handlebars are, what grips you have. So as a complete bike, this is a very solid build, I would say.
Just out of curiosity, how much does a good dirt jumper cost?
A good dirt jumper, I would say, could be anywhere between $1,500 to $2,500.
How much do you think an electric dirt jumper would cost?
I would guess that this bike, after riding it, would cost around $2,000. That's just my opinion on how much the battery would add to it. Without the battery for this bike, I would say it would cost about $1,500, $1,600, somewhere around there.
Gotta get used to pedaling, huh?
Get used to walking back up the hill afterwards too.
Any other questions, check out our full written review at ebikepedia.com. And thanks for watching. Remember, when you guys ride, wear your safety gear.